Hello everyone, my name is Isaiah. Glad to be speaking with you. Today, I will be talking about Jesus and how only through him you can be saved and go to heaven. The Bible is a very, very old book, and most of it does not talk about Jesus. But Jesus is the most important part, because only through Jesus you can be saved and go to heaven. Through Jewish tradition, Jesus could not start preaching until he was 30 because he could not start his own ministry until then. But once he turned 30, he went out there. He went and spread the gospel, or not the gospel, but he spread the word, and then he spread his interpretation of it because he's going to give the new commandment. He is the final book. Once he started getting a following and the devil realized how much of a threat he was, Jesus went out into the wilderness where he fasted 40 days and 40 nights. Satan tried to tempt him, and he kept giving all these offerings, saying, "Oh, I can give you food, oh, I can give you whatever you want." And as Jesus replied, "It is written again, you shall not tempt the Lord your God. Away with you, Satan. For it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only you shall serve," which is written in Matthew 4:10. Then Satan realized he could not tempt the one true God, and he left because he knew he could not do anything to Jesus. Jesus went on to perform miracles. He cured people's sicknesses, cured people's blindness. For a wedding, he turned all the water into wine for celebratory effect. He even went out into the middle of the ocean and walked with one of his disciples, Peter. As Jesus was performing miracles, he also taught the Bible to everyone, like I mentioned earlier, sharing the sacred word with everyone that'll listen. One day, Jesus was in Jerusalem going to preach the word, and when he walked into the temple, all he saw were stands with evil thieves selling things in the holy temple. He was wrathful, but rightfully so. Seeing all this thievery, he flipped a stand over and scolded them for what they were doing. Jesus went everywhere, preaching the word, doing miracles, and showing the world that he is the one true God. Then, one day, he gathered all of his disciples for one last supper, telling them to eat and drink for remembrance to him. He told them that one of them will betray him, Judas. He told his disciples how he has come to earth to take away the sins of man, for his blood is to wash away the sins of man for all believers of Christ. He then laid the groundwork for his disciples to spread the word of Jesus as far as they can and start the first church. The next day, while Jesus was out with most of his disciples, Judas came to the high priest with the willingness to show them the way to Jesus for 30 silver. The priests agreed, and Judas led them to him. Jesus knew they were coming and wanted to go peacefully, but Peter didn't want to let his Lord go, for he knew what would happen. He cut off one of the servant's ear, for which Jesus scolded Peter for, and then healed the servant's ear, even though he knew the servant only wanted to cause Jesus harm. He was then taken to Jerusalem, being as peaceful as he can. In Jerusalem, he was held in a public Jewish area and was asked if he is claiming that he is the Messiah, which is blasphemic if you are not. He said yes, and since the Jewish high priest didn't believe him, they wanted to see him executed for blasphemy. He was beaten and spit on and mocked. The crowd recognized Peter, who denied his involvement with Jesus, which Jesus foretold during the Last Supper. Peter said he didn't know Jesus and that they were thinking of the wrong guy. Jesus was then handed to the Roman governor of Judea, Pilatus, who spent hours trying to keep a seemingly innocent man from being executed, even offering the Jews to either release Jesus or release a murderer. And the Jews chose to let the murderer free, which is insane. After realizing that he would never get the Jews into talking Jesus in any ways besides in a tomb, he had no choice but to sentence him to death. Jesus was then beaten and tortured for 2 hours, getting beat, lashed, whipped, and slashed until he could not stand. He was then dragged out into the hallway for him to rest and to be beat. Some Roman guards then placed a crown of thorns upon him and said, and mocking him, calling him the King of Jews, and then spitting on him and leaving. He was then awoken and handed a giant wooden cross for him to carry through Jerusalem up into the neighboring hills. As he carried the cross through Jerusalem, he was beaten and yelled at by Romans and Jews. Once on the hill, he was placed onto the cross and was nailed by his hands and feet into the cross. As he was bleeding out, he was lifted up into the air. As he was up there, the crowd continued to mock him, and he was pierced by a spear right into his side, letting him bleed a lot more. As he was up there on the cross, there were 2 other prisoners beside him, also sentenced to death. One turned to Jesus and said, "If you are the Christ, save yourself and us." The other looked at him disgustingly and said, "Do you not even fear God, seeing you are under the same condemnation? And we need, indeed justly, for we receive the due reward of our deeds, but this man has done nothing wrong." Then he turned and said to Jesus, "Lord, remember me when you come as king, when you go to your kingdom." Jesus turned, looked at him, and said, "Assuredly I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." From here he proclaimed, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." The sky darkened, the storms of earth piercing through everything and everyone. Many left Jesus to die alone. As the storm settled, Jesus perished, leading many to cry and weep, and many to mock and laugh. He was then taken to his tomb, where he was laid to rest. 3 days later, some have come to his tomb and noticed that the stone in front has been moved. He wasn't there. He was risen from the dead, because he is the true God. He went around the area, resurrected, and showed the world that he is back and is God. No one could believe it. He came and died for everyone's sin. He was then sent to heaven to await the rapture, which was foretold to John. The book of Revelations describes the rapture as the end times, which no one but God knows the date of. So don't believe anyone that says they know the date. He says that on the rapture, no matter how many good deeds one does, only Jesus will save you from going to hell, from eternal damnation. Many won't be entering heaven. Many won't. And Jesus will be the judge on who gets to come in and out. Jesus wants a relationship with you, so please, my brothers and sisters, read the Gospels of Jesus, learn his teachings and his word, and accept him as the one and true God, for he is the only way to salvation. With that being said, I don't have any time left. I wish I had more time to go in depth with the topic, but time is too short. But Jesus is forever, and you can be with him forever. Always remember that. God bless. Take care.